Hello, and thank you for attending Google Apps 130, otherwise known as Google Sites. Today we are going to cover the builder that is known as Google Sites. It is an in-depth look at creating, editing, and managing these sites. So one of the best things about Google Sites is that you do not need to know HTML to build a site using Google Sites. Also, any Google account in the world has an associated Sites account. So not only will this information help you in your work life, but you can also learn how to make a personal or hobby site from your personal Gmail account as well. First of all, let's talk about the GoToWebinar interface that we're on. It has two components, a small gray control panel where you can write questions, and then a screen share. I will not take questions during this call until the end. You are welcome to ask your question through that interface at any time, and I'll let them pile up, and then we'll stop about 10 or 15 minutes before the end of the hour, and I'll go through and answer your questions. Let's see, somebody says that they are having a hard time hearing me, that my audio is breaking up. I did just do an internet speed test before this class. I am at 60 megabits per second, so should have a good, strong internet connection. How is it to others? Are people experiencing the audio going in and out? Okay, everybody says they're having no issues, and it sounds perfect. Okay, great. That was the next thing. If you experience a lag in the screen or poor audio quality, please leave the meeting and come back in the way that you got here. So please leave the meeting. We are still looking at the we will begin momentarily Google Apps 130 Google Sites slide, and I'm going to switch over into Google Sites. So please ask your questions during the call in that question section, and at the end we will address those. All right, so again, my name is Meg. I'm with a company named Onyx that helps you guys in your transition to Google Apps. And these are free quarterly webinars that we give to help customer workers update themselves and their skills on Google applications. Sites is one of my favorite things about the Google Apps Suite, and it's definitely one of my favorite classes to teach. Like I said, everybody in the world has a Google Sites account unless it's turned off at the administrator level. If you have Gmail or Drive, you can get to Sites a couple of ways. First of all, you can get there using your apps grid. If it doesn't show there, it may show down here and more. If it doesn't show there, I want to show you where its actual location is. The best way to get there is through a browser shortcut, but I want to show you in your personal account right here. If you go to Even More from Google, and again, that was the Apps Grid, More, and Even More from Google, it will give you a full listing of every application that comes free with every Google account. And you can find sites right here in your work or your personal account. So keep that in mind. I prefer to get there using the browser shortcut, which is always application.google.com. So in this case, we're going to go to sites.google.com. All right. And so this takes me to the main web page. All right. So let's talk a little bit about what are Google Sites. They are just like regular websites. You don't have to have a Google address to view them. They function just like any other website for all practical purposes. They allow you to organize and share information with either the entire world or public or just a specific group of people. You can share a Google site much like you can share a Google document. You can have viewers, editors, and owners. Like I said, you don't have to have any HTML or code experience or web design experience to use this product. So some typical uses of Google Sites in the business world are to make an intranet for HR or for internal employees, a project team site for a project that you're managing, or a data repository for information that you'd like to store. Some personal uses that you might use in your personal account are a hobby, website of, maybe you restore old cars, a photo website, maybe for the grandparents to see the grandkids if they live far away, things like that. So there are just a lot of different uses for Google Sites. Here we are in My Sites, which is the home base. And again, if you go to sites.google.com, it takes you to this page. And My Sites are going to be any site that is actually on your domain that you have access to, okay? You may be an owner, you may be an editor, it may just be available to you. If you are an owner or an editor on another site and another domain, it will not show up here. This is only sites that are on your domain. You can see what account you're on. I'm on onyxdev3.com is my domain. It's My Sites. Deleted sites is obvious. If you delete a site, it does stay there for 30 days for your retrieval. Browse sites will give you a cloud or a tag cloud where you can see all the different kinds of sites that have been tagged on this particular domain and check it out by a particular category. So maybe I want sites on sites, right? Or sites on Google Apps, for example. I have one that I've created that is completely devoid of any theme or template, because I just want you to see what does it look like when you have just a blank slate, right? This has no colors, nothing in it. It's just a plain text, black and white. So if you don't use a template or a theme, this is what that's going to look like. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and create a site today. And there's a lot of different reasons why you guys would want to create a site. So I just kind of, in this class, create them a little bit willy-nilly. We'll call this class site for 317. Here, I can select a basic theme if I don't want it to just be that black and white. All right, so in this case, I think I'll choose this one. And then here in the more options, if you will remember that cloud or that tag cloud that we had, this is where you can put in categories that will show up in that tag cloud and also give this site a description. What is this used for? Like I might say this was a demo site that I created in class. Now there's a couple of people that say, I don't have a create button. If you don't have a create button, it means that you are not allowed to create sites in your domain, and you will have to ask your administrator to put you in an organizational unit where that is enabled. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'll give it a category, Google Apps, site for class. All right. Go ahead and choose create. All right, and it's that easy. The website has been set up. Now if I go to sites.google.com, it is in my list and has the tag of Google Apps. All right, so it starts out with what they assume is a home page. And I like to go through the editor on this specific page before we get into the overall menu. So each specific page that you land on is going to have an editor right here, which works very much like a word processor. And you can also create a new page. Let's just take a look into this editor and check it out. So again, this is pretty much just a rich text editor like you would see inside of Google Docs. And I can begin typing. It'll show up in the themes default size and color for fonts. Now, so all of your formatting options are up here, just like it would be in a word processing application. Right here, if you can code, you can get into the HTML for this element right here. And it is by element. Notice that it doesn't show the header or the sidebar. It's going to be just in that particular box that I am in. So if I can code, I can change border colors, create new divisions, things like that. But I don't have to. But it is right there if you're interested in that. Most of what you'll be using is this formatting bar up here, right? Or the insert, okay? But what I'm going to do before I do anything is take a look at my layout. This is one of the things that I really like about Google Sites is that I'm able to easily change the layout at any time. Even if I have this entire site built out, I can always go back in here and change the layout. For example, if I was on 3 columns and then I changed to 1 column, it would simply stack all my information in the 1 column and vice versa. It doesn't get rid of any of your information if you change the layout. I really enjoy and appreciate that. So let's do 3 columns and we'll leave this natural sidebar here. So I can type or change alignment in each column. All right, so I'm going to insert an image into each column just to kind of get these started. Like I said, I like to just kind of do a hodgepodge of different images and things that I find. Here we go. I really like this very grumpy dog. He's kind of the internet's answer to Grumpy Cat. Oh my, but you see he's really quite large for the space. So this is the original size of the image. That's a little much. So at 100%, it will take it down to the size of the column. Or I can do one of these preset sizes, small, medium, or large. But I want it to fit the column, so I'm going to go ahead and say 100% is just fine right there. I can also, if I'd like to, associate a link with this image by changing right here and putting in a link that goes to a certain website or link back to a different site's page. Let's see, I must have accidentally got that off there. Let's go back. All right, there's Grumpy. There's Grumpy Little Earl, and I'm gonna center it there. There we go. Okay, so if you save when you're inside Sites, it automatically will publish to the web. So there's not really like a middle ground where it holds it and then you push it to live production. Saving is publishing in this particular model. So if you're working on a page and you don't want it to show, then it's best just not to show it over here in the navigation. So other things that you can insert, an image, a link, a table of contents, obviously horizontal lines, elements like that. There are a series of gadgets that you can post in here. And here in the more, this is where you're going to find like a Google Calendar that you can insert, an iframe if you want to insert another web page into this page, etc. Twitter feed, whatnot. Just a lot of various gadgets that you can put in there. Let's see here. You can also insert, let's do a calendar. Pick from which of your calendars you want in there. That's a little too long of a calendar, so I'm going to take that height down to about, say, 350. So it's even with that over there. There we go. Hit save. All right, so now I have a calendar in there. So you get the idea. Also here in the insert, you can insert anything that is from your drive. So from here, I can do an entire folder, a form, if I want people to, hey, take this form and let me know what you think about the site, or take this form on our customer service, etc. Insert a presentation, a spreadsheet, or a video that you have somewhere in your account. And for any element, gadget, or image that you put in there, it's going to give you this little bar for formatting and alignment. If you get the little cog, then you can go in there and change the properties of that particular item. All right. So let's go back into this edit page here. So that's in the insert. You can also insert a hangout, which is really cool because then you could say, you know, hey, meet Bob here every Tuesday for office hours on the products that we sell. Format is just going to have your headings, your subscript, etc. You can insert a table, change the layout at any time, or go to help or see your keyboard shortcuts right there. All right, so I'm going to save that. And again, when you save, it does publish. There is not a way to not save or not publish if you save. And again, just don't put it in the navigation if you don't want that to be saved. So that's your editing mode right there. And let's go ahead and create a new page for this. And I'm going to show you the different page types that we have. I'm going to create a new page, and what we just saw was a web page, right? It's just a blank slate. It can be formatted any way that you like using that layout that I showed you. Let's do one that's an announcements page. Now this is important. Select a location. You want to set your site up in the best organization possible. So think about it and put it in places that they're going to stay. Now you can always go back and move pages easily inside of sites, which is one of its advantages. However, it's best if you build your site into the proper structure just right at first. So do I want this to be, you know, a sub page of home? Do I want it to be an equal page at the top level with home? And I'm going to go ahead and put it as a sub page under home, and I will create that page right here. Each page is going to have its own particular URL that you could send somebody to at the top of the page that you could share. The announcements page is great if it's like, you know, new hires. We've hired 3 new people in the marketing department. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a new post right here. The new post shows up as a new web page. I'm going to say new hires, marketing. All right, so I'm going to hit save, and then you can see in the announcements page that we have an announcement about new hires, and I can click into there for more information. Or I might have all right, so I just hit save and go to this announcements page, and you can see kind of a rolling list of announcements for this page, and that's what that is used for. So let's go ahead and create another page type right here. And this time I'm going to create a file cabinet page. I'm going to call this file cabinet. And again, I have to decide, where do I want it? Is it a subpage of announcements? Is it at the top level? I'm going to say this one can be not either. I actually want it under home. So I'm going to choose a different location and put it under home so it's even with the announcements page in my hierarchy or site structure. All right, so the file cabinet page is just what it sounds like. It's a repository for data, and you can add a file from your hard drive, save specific URLs, links, add it from your Google Drive. You can move something somewhere else from your Google Drive, delete a file that you have updated, or subscribe to changes so that you know whenever anyone puts a new file in your file cabinet. Another page type here is the list. Again, I want that to be under home, so I'm going to put that under home right there. And I'm going to press create here. Okay, so the list page will give you some options. Like, what are you trying to do with this list page, right? Do you have issues? You have action items? In this case, I'm going to say, let's say that it's issues. Let's use that template and look at the issues list. And I can, let's just add an item. And we'll say this is raised by Vaughn. The owner is Meg. Issue is I didn't get my office supplies shipment. Resolution supplies department was notified. All right, so I'm going to hit save. And you can just see this list will begin to build out, and I can delete the item at any time. You can customize the list and add custom fields based on my specific type of business or list that I'm looking for, and change how this list is sorted. I'm not going to go into all the different potential use cases of these pages or the page types, because every one of you is from a variety of different business types and industries. You can imagine the different uses for these types of pages, I hope. Let's make one more type of page here, and that's a start page. And this time I'll put it under the list page as a subpage. Let's create that. Okay, and so in the start page, it has a section that everyone can see. So everyone can see what is up here. And then it gives every user a chance to edit what they want to put in the bottom of the site. So this might be good for, let's say that you have a team of workers who all need an individual type of calendar there, or a different type of feed, or managing different types of social media. So everyone sees what's up here. You only see your own specific gadgets here. This is like a user created area that's private to each particular person who has edit rights on this page. And it's tied into the email address that they use to view the site. Now, obviously, to participate in this, they would need to have a Google address, but to view the site, they can have any address at all. At any time, if you want to see what the site looks like to the general public or people who have view access, you can go right here in this main menu to preview page as a viewer. It just shows you what other people are going to see. All right, so you'll notice that I've made all these different types of pages, and my start page, that is a subpage of my list page, isn't showing here in my hierarchy or my navigation. So that's kind of one of the next things that I'd like to address, is the sidebar and navigation. So let's take a look at our list here. Our action menu is broken down into 3 distinct components: page actions that apply to a specific page templates, and site actions. So if I save a page as a page template, let's just go ahead and do that real quick. I'm going to save this page as a page template because a lot of my pages need to look like this. And I'll just say home page and hit save. And then now if I want to create a new page, that's a type that I can choose. So page actions, page templates, and site actions. Now, since the sidebar applies to the whole site, I'm going to find it here under site actions. I'm going to go into edit site layout right here. And ultimately what I'd like to do is get another layer so I can see that start page that I put under the list page there. So the sidebar has two separately editable components. One of them is up here. See the little pencil for edit, and then this one is the navigation. So first let's edit the sidebar itself. Let's see what this plus does. This will give you a new item that you could add, like listing the recent site activity if this is a site that you're collaborating with others on. A countdown, maybe it's for a project that or an event that's at a certain day. You can add a countdown to the big event, so on and so forth. Or display all the owners of this site. The edit pencil here will just help you change the width of this. I'm going to just make it a little bit wider and change if you want it on the left or the right. All right. If I want to actually get into the navigation, I have to click down here. And the default is to automatically organize this navigation links over on the side in the order that I put the pages. And the level of pages to show default is just 2. So I want all of them to show, and if I press OK, then now you can see that I can have my sub pages here. Well, I should be able to. My internet's giving me trouble. Let's refresh the page here. And I should be able to, there we go. You can click down and see sub pages now because I released all the levels of my hierarchy to be shown in the sidebar right there. And I go back to the edit site layout. And if there's a page that I don't want shown there, or I don't want it in the order that I built it, maybe I want it in alphabetical order, right? And I can unclick this auto navigation and manually add the pages in the order that I want them to appear. And maybe I don't like this link to the sitemap. I'm going to take that off. Add page, and I can choose what's my first page. So I'm going to choose home. What's my next page? We'll say announcements. And if I want that to be a sub page of home, then I can click it over. Let's bring the file cabinet page to the top level, make it its own page. There we go. So you can kind of arrange the site order that shows up in the navigation here however you like. For example, I can put one of the announcement page under the file cabinet if I so desire. And say OK. And close. And you can see that it did update based on the navigation that I manually built out. You don't have to have sidebar. So here in the edit site layout, across the top here, those are your options for the site layout. I don't have to have a header. If I click that off, then my header is gone. If I click it on and then click into the header, I can get options to edit the header, add a theme or logo, etc. Change the size of the header. I can turn off my sidebar and instead enable horizontal navigation, which would be tabs or boxes up here at the top. So let's turn on that horizontal nav bar and click in here. Now this doesn't include an auto navigation function. You do have to manually add the pages, so let's just do that. Grab some pages here, add another page, make that a sub page. Make that its own category. If you move it back, it'll be on the same level. And do I want it to look boxy like this? Do I want it to be tabs, or do I want it to be links? I like the tabs, so let's do that. And now you can see that I have, let's press close. Now you can see that I have a horizontal list that drops down. And in the horizontal navigation, you can only have 2 levels. The main level up here, and then a drop-down list. Just kind of up to you how you want to put your navigation for the site, and you can do both. All right, so here in Page Actions, you have a revision history where you can look back on earlier revisions or versions and revert if you mess something up, which if you're used to web design, you know that you're going to, and this is a useful function. You can get back to your site right here. That's here in the main menu, revision history. You can subscribe to individual pages. Or down here in the site actions, you can subscribe to the entire site, any changes anyone makes on the entire site. Here is an important place for each page, and that's the page settings. Do I want to show the title, and do I want to show these links to subpages down here? I don't really like those links to that subpages. Am I going to allow comments? And do I want to show this page in the sidebar? Let's save, and you see I have a little bit of changes that happen down there, and now I have a section where viewers can add comments as well. So you can print the page, copy the page, or we've already seen preview what does this page look like to just a regular viewer of this site. So that's the page actions. We've talked about page templates, how you can save any page as a template for future use to duplicate the page, or you can change the type of page. Just like you can change the layout, you can change what type of page it is at any time as well. Now down here in the site actions, that site layout is what we just looked at, where you can turn on the header, horizontal nav, sidebar, footer, etc. And then the main menu for the entire site is actually all the way down here. I'm not sure why they put this section at the bottom, but this is the biggest menu right here, Manage Site. So let's go ahead and get in there and check that out. All right, and so this Manage Site menu opens up here in the General Settings tab. And it's general information such as the site name, categories for the tag cloud. Do you want a notice to be shown to visitors? Do you want to choose a specific URL or description? What page do you want to be the landing page for people who come to your custom URL? You can copy a site, publish the entire site as a template, delete the site at any time. You can configure the search. Maybe you don't want that search bar to be up here. See where it says search this site? You can disable that. Oops, sorry. Where did I go? There we go. You can disable that here in the configure search. Scrolling down, this is if you want to enable analytics on the site, see how many hits you're getting, things like that. Web address mapping, and this gets a little bit more complicated into webmaster tools and things that you definitely need a higher degree of technology information to get into these things. But you can have it automatically adjust to mobile phones and allow your site to be embedded in other places, and change your visibility access right here. Who can view this site? Only people who are working on it, or anyone who can access the revision history. That's in the general settings right here. Just cancel any changes that I made there. Let's go back to Manage Site. So here on the left here, we've got recent site activity, and just kind of tells you what's gone on. It's like the details in the drive of a running list of what's gone on with this site. Pages, this is your actual physical hierarchy of pages, and you can see them in a hierarchy or a list view. I prefer the hierarchy. If you decide that you want a page to be somewhere else, you know, like for example for the automatic navigation, you can always just grab it and drag it. Take a moment just to move it, and it automatically will make it a subpage, which I really like that functionality. So with some other builders, it's not quite that easy. Attachment. This is if you wanted to display a PDF or something like that on the site. You'd have to upload it in this particular interface. And let's just do that. Let's upload something. Let's see if I've got a PDF in here. That would be good to use for this. Just a moment while I look here. Here we go. So I'm going to upload this. All right. And so if I want this PDF to show on my site, I have to get a little bit creative. Okay. I can view it from here, and I have a link to it, right? But if I want it to actually display on the site, I'm going to have to take a screenshot, insert the image, and then connect this particular link. So just know that that attachment section is in there. And if something won't display, you know, normally because it's PDF or because of the file type, that you may have to get a little bit creative as to uploading it into the attachment section, viewing it so that then you have a URL that you can point it back to, and connecting it to an image. Here in page templates, that's just what it sounds like. What templates do you have? Do you want different ones? You can also go into those different templates and revise them if you so desire, and then they have a revision history as well. If you can code, this is where you can add a new script and add code in right there. Anything that you delete will show up here in the deleted items, I believe for 30 days. So that's the entire menu here. You have general. You also have sharing and permissions. Now sharing and permissions you can get into as well. Oops, sorry about that. Up here in your familiar share box. All right, so this should look familiar to you if you have used the drive. All sites are by default private. So you're the only one who can see this unless you open it up to greater permissions. So here in the change, these are my sharing permissions. They're the same as in the drive. Can I share with the entire internet, which makes it searchable by search engine? Anyone who has the link means that no one can find it, but if they have the link, they can access it. You can restrict it to your particular domain, or restrict it to your domain only people who have the link. Or just share with a specific email address or distribution list, exactly the way that you share with a Google document. Now, if you are working on a page of a website, it does not work like a Google document does. You can both be in there editing at the same time, but if I shared this with you and you tried to edit at the same time as me, it would give you a warning that I was already in the site and ask if you want to break the lock. If you choose to break a lock, like somebody's already working on a page that you want to work on, then it's just going to be up to who saves first as far as what changes are reflected, which you could, make a lot of changes, save it, and then they, you know, could make some different changes that could affect yours. So it's best, excuse me, it's best not to try to edit the same page at the same time with someone, but you can easily edit different pages. You will not get the warning for the lock if you are editing a different page than somebody else. So you can definitely easily work on separate pages. Just don't try to work on the same page at the same time, because it gets confusing as to, you know, what's actually going to stick here. If somebody changed the entire page and now I'm in it, you could have some confusion. So last thing we'll talk about is here in the Manage Sites. That's over here. Themes, colors, and fonts. And you'll notice when you're in this editor mode right here for each individual page, there's a lot that you can't get into. First of all, you can't even see your sidebar, right? So, or, well, I guess I took it off, but you can't edit the different parts of your sidebar, your header, your outside content areas, things like that. When you're in this, you can only edit the specific elements on this page. If you want to edit headers, gadgets, things like that, then you have to go into this themes, colors, and fonts. It's also where you can change your overall theme at any time. Just take a look at it. Like, do you like this one better? Let's try that one. I like that one. Or I can just cancel and forget that at any time. I'll go back here to themes, colors, and fonts. So I will admit that sometimes it's kind of difficult to figure out on the page which one of these goes where. And so if you're trying to figure out how do I change the color of this, you know, specific gadget or this specific bar right here, the best thing that you can do is just get in there and change it to a crazy color and see what changes. So obviously I don't have a content area gadget showing, or it would change. So just there we go, content area background, for example. That's a little wild. Let's tone that down. A few hundred pegs. There we go. All right, and so you can always cancel any of these changes, but you do have to get into kind of the nitty-gritty of changing various elements of color, font, title, and things like that outside of the basic page format here in this themes, colors, and fonts section. All right, so that is pretty much all of Google Sites in a nutshell. So I'm going to go in here and take a look at some of these questions here. Somebody says, how can I add CSS and JavaScript? And I'm not a coder, but I'm going to assume it's in the app script section is where you can do that. Somebody says, if I share my personal site as public, how can I add the functionality to post comments? And I think that we did cover that here in the page settings. That's how you can allow those comments. How can I save without publishing? I think we covered that. You can't. When you insert a Google video, it showed you can set the size. Can you set it to 100% of the column width? I don't think so. I think that it wants you to, for a video, I think you have to set it yourself. Let's just find another video one. Let's see here. Yeah, you have to set it. Someone says, how do you not include something in the navigation? When you're in the site layout, let me put my sidebar back on. I can just go in here to the navigation, take it out. And then it won't show them. People won't even know it exists as long as you make sure that you've hidden the links at the bottom of the page. So. Let's see, somebody says, can you show us how a Google blog might be put into the page? Let's take a look here. And let me edit this page. I'm going to delete this video because it's making it even uglier than it already was. You know, I have not done a Google blog before, so I'm not sure exactly how the blogs go in there. I was looking here to see if there was, you know, an automatic insert blog functionality here. Let's look at more gadgets and see if they've got a insert a blog. Oh, apologies, I have not encountered that question yet. Anything that I can't answer or do for you guys here, I just suggest, you know, just do some research on the web. It's usually pretty easy to find things. That's what I do. Anytime that I can't figure out what I'm doing with something in Sites, I look it up, or I, you know, rip the code from somewhere else and put it in my HTML space, etc. Is there a size limit to your websites like with the Google Drive? Not that I'm aware of. I've built some pretty big ones, you know, but do keep in mind that A, your company owns it if you make it on your company domain, and that B, Google owns it if you make it on your personal domain. If you make it at gmail.com, then Google does own your site and everything on it because it's a free service that they're giving to you. Let's see here. Can you redo how to add pages? Right here is how to add pages. Create pages. You can name your page, decide what kind of page that you want. I'll just use a basic web page, and then decide where do you want to put it. I'll put it at the top level. Create right here. How might you allow a viewer to subscribe to an individual page change? A viewer cannot subscribe. It would have to be an editor. And so here in the share, you can make somebody, like here, I'll give my work address, permissions. Takes a moment. You can give somebody view, edit, or owner permission. I don't believe that they're going to be able to subscribe to those pages if you just give them view access. I'll check it for you. Give me just a moment. And I'm going to give myself view access. I'm going to go here to Sites. And let's see here. I'm going to check it out on my other page. Yes, if I'm not an editor, then I don't have an option to subscribe to any changes. But if I want somebody to be able to do that, then I can make them an editor right there. You can also enable page level permissions to give access to one page and not another. That is kind of complicated, and I don't generally go into it in this class, but it's easy to figure out. It's just complicated to demo. Somebody asks, can tabs create more than 2 lines if you're writing in the HTML button? I'm assuming that you mean up here, can the tabs create more than 2 levels to show, you know, like more hierarchy in this dropdown? And I'm going to say yes. I've not tried it, but pretty much anything is possible. There's not really a lot of restrictions. If you can code, you can, you know, manipulate this application. Someone says, how do I share the site with everyone on the web? And again, that's going to be right here, public on the web. That means anyone can find it and view it. Someone says, I've heard when a person leaves the company, all their communications are deleted. I'd like to make sure all the comments in the forum are retained, even if the person leaves the company. I apologize. I can't speak to that. I don't have experience with that. I guess you'd have to have somebody, work with your Google administrator to have them make you a dummy account and then have them decommission that account. Have them comment and then have them decommission that account to check that, but I'm not sure on that answer. Can we restrict access to a part of the site? And so somebody asked, and that's where you get into this enable page level permissions. You can turn it on. The important thing about page level permissions is that you have to add somebody as an editor to the overall site first, and then you restrict their permissions per individual page. Someone says, where do you add meta tags? And I assume that you mean for that tag cloud to find it in the browse. And that's going to be here in the general, I believe. Let's see if that categories. Here we go. Site categories are right there. Do you need to be part of a business account to create sites, or can you use your personal account? And again, in your personal account, you would just go into your apps grid, go to more, and then go to even more from Google. And then down here, you can get into sites. Okay. Let's see. Somebody says, our organization had a Google site created. The creator moved away and does not remember the login info, and we don't know the password. It is believed that no one else has edit privileges. How can the organization have the site removed or get someone else access? The Google administrator should be able to add someone else and transfer ownership of that site. That should be a fairly easy process. Someone says, how do I auto-subscribe persons without them having to sign up? That's going to be a gadget that you have to find and insert on your own. And I have not done that particular thing with a site yet. Someone says, can we apply a common style sheet across multiple sites? I'm going to assume that you are asking about a page template, and the answer is no. You cannot add a page template across multiple sites. It is specific to the site that you're looking at. If you're talking about a style sheet in terms of coding, I wouldn't know. I'm not a coder. I'm just a trainer. Question, how do I delete an active site? I believe we went through that, but I'll go ahead and show that to you guys anyway. And start out here. If you want to delete a site, you can go to the Manage right here, Site, and delete the entire site right here in the General tab. If you want to delete a specific page, you can just go right here, delete page. It won't let you delete your home page unless you move it to another location. Okay, let's see. Someone says, attachments are saved within the site, not on an underlying drive page, right? Can the files be shared from a personal drive page to a site? Absolutely. You have access to the drive, anything in your drive, right here through the insert. You can get into your entire drive. But as far as it being, where is it stored, outside of coming from your drive, it is going to be stored here in the Manage Sites in the Attachments section. Somebody says, if somebody uploads a file to the file cabinet, where will it save? You know, it's a good question. I've never really looked at that, but I'm going to assume probably here in the Attachments section, unless it's from your Google Drive, in which case, you know, it's it's connected to the original file. Someone says, I would like to link an Excel file, which I normally use on my computer, and would like to have changes automatically updated in the Google site. How do I do that? Well, you can upload the Excel file as an attachment through here and get a URL to display it. But as far as updating it in real time, I don't know if you can do that. My advice would be use Google Sheets instead of Excel. Is there an easy way to start a new site from a current site that you can view but don't have designer rights? Not necessarily, but you can. When you create a site, instead of just getting into the themes, you can browse the gallery right here and look at different site templates. And this is usually where I will go because these are, pre-created. They may have some features that if you're not a builder, you couldn't create yourself. And so there's just a whole lot more things in this site templates. They may or may not be appropriate for work. However, these are user-created content that is pushed by Google. So just keep that in mind. Somebody says, what is the relationship between the files uploaded to the site and somebody's Google Drive? If you take it from your drive, then that's just your source, is your drive, if you use that insert. Otherwise, it has to be in your attachments. It's not, those attachments are only located there. They're not going to come from your Google Drive. I wish they could, and they would, because I think that would be easier in some ways. So. Let's see here. I'll keep going through these questions. You guys have really good questions today. If I make a personal page, I can share with just my family, post pictures to the page. Will those pictures show up as Google images to the public? No, absolutely they will not. If you keep your site private, it's private just to you and it only shares with anybody that you specifically share with. Let me get rid of all these tabs that I have here. Through the sharing and permissions. So this site, and I have a site that I've been working on for a few years, but I'm just not ready to show it to the public yet. A personal hobby website on some side research that I do. And I just only give it to people via their specific email address. If I want to take away their access, I can always go here to the share and delete that. Same thing on a personal site. If you have the ability to create it, it can be private just to you, just to your department. You can narrow that audience. Absolutely, your images, everything are safe. I also have never had it lose anything. I've been building out and writing my very important articles and things that are very important to me in my personal life on Google Sites. It's extremely reliable. Someone says, can you insert a slideshow of pictures that automatically runs? Yes, you can. Let's see. I think that's an automatic function. Let me take a look here. Insert, drive. Let's see, let me think about that. You could put them in a presentation, which I believe that you can have run. And then there are, let's see if there's a gadget of a slideshow. You may have to look it up. It's been quite a while since I have put in a slideshow. But yes, it can be done, and it was not relatively difficult. I just don't remember at this moment exactly where you can do that. But absolutely, there's lots of options online for you to be able to put in a slideshow. Someone says, how do I insert a website address? That would be a link. So I can highlight this text and insert a link and have that go to either another page within my site. Let's just do that. Let's have this go to the file cabinet page. And now this is a link. Let's see, someone says, is there a way to see the code for templates? You know, I don't know. Let's go into change page template. No, wrong thing, sorry. Let's go view draft. Let's go into manage the site. Let's go over here to page templates. Look into this template. It's not giving me an option to manage the code, but you can manage it in the original, site or the original page before you make it a template. I'm going to say that's the best way to do that. So I'm not sure on that, Neil. Wish I had a better answer there for you. All right, we are at time. I apologize that I can't get to all your questions. Please do refer to your IT department with future questions that you have. Thank you guys so much for coming to this class. I hope that it was helpful. Really appreciate it. Have a great day.